So we finally have the full EZA details for the Dokkan Fest Jiren and then the Universe 6 EZAs down here. Now, I have very high hopes for all of these EZAs. The Jiren needs to be good because he's on some pretty weak teams. You know, he's got stuff like Universe Survival Saga. He's got Universe 11, which is just a joke right now. Like, that team is so bad. So, he could actually be very useful for, you know, some pretty weak teams. And then these Universe 6 units down here, you know, Dokkan Festival Kale. It's been a little rough for her. We got that EZA for the LR Kale and Caulifla, and then Dokkan just completely dropped their teams. So I'm hoping now with these Universe 6 buffs, they could actually be good and then help the Kale. Because this is really the only time slot I see Kale actually getting help, other than maybe an LR Kefla in the future. But those are the really only two things that would help, you know, the Dokkan Festival Kale. So I'm really hoping these guys are good. But with all that said, I guess we can go ahead and get right into the Jiren's EZA. Of course, shout out to the Dokkan Battle Wiki for posting all these translations. And yeah, let's get right into it. So, the leader skill is Universe Survival Saga category Key +3, HP and attack and defense plus 170%. And then STR type Key +3, HP and attack and defense plus 120%. It's exactly what we expected. I mean, we knew that was going to be his leader skill. I guess it's pretty good for newer players, but, you know, if you've been playing for a while, you probably have a better lead for this category. And then his super attack effect is that he greatly raises attack and defense for one turn, causes immense damage to enemy, and then greatly lowers defense. Okay, that's actually a pretty good super attack effect. So, as long as they gave him 30% defense here, I would have been chilling. But 50% attack and defense, definitely very good. So, from the looks of the super attack effect, maybe giving him a little bit of additionals would be pretty good. Because that's definitely a good super attack effect. 50% attack and defense is very nice. And then his passive is that he gets 2 key. Alright, the 2 key start of turn is very good for a T-War. And then 200% to stats. That's definitely pretty high. He also has a medium chance to stun all enemies at start of turn. And then he gets attacks effective against all types when facing only one enemy. And then he reduces damage received by 30% when facing 2 or more enemies. Okay, so the start of that, I was getting pretty happy. I saw damage reduction, but 2 or more enemies, not really the greatest condition, right? And then he gets another 50% attack and defense and a high chance to stun the enemy when performing a super. And then he performs a critical hit on stunned enemies. And then he gets another 111% attack and defense and performs a guaranteed crit when there's a Universe Survival Saga or a Tournament Participants category enemy. Alright. I mean, he's alright. He's not anything crazy. If you're facing 2 or more enemies, he's got the 30% damage reduction, so that'll be pretty solid. But when you're facing only one enemy, I mean, he might be solid because he's attacks effective against all types right here. He's getting the 50% attack and defense on super. And then if you're facing a Universe Survival Saga or a Tournament Participants category enemy, his stats are going to be a little bit higher. And then you get that guaranteed crit. But no guard, no damage reduction. He's just solely relying on stats. So that is a little unfortunate, but to be fair, he's got pretty high numbers. You see 200% right here, 50% right here, and then 111% right here. So he could be good, but the extra 111% attack and defense is also only when you're facing a Universe Survival Saga or Tournament Participants category enemy. And right now, can't really think of that many difficult events with these category enemies. So yeah, not really the biggest fan of this Jiren's EZA, I'm going to be honest. I wouldn't call this a fumble, though. He's not horrible, or he's not like a 0, but they definitely could have made him a little bit better. Like, his main use is when you're facing 2 or more enemies, and that's exactly what I was scared of because, you know, he's good for Super Battle Road, but those units are only good for 2 events in the whole game. So, I mean, I guess that's somewhat solid, but this Jiren's also only on a couple teams. He's got like 5 teams max, so it's not like you're running this guy in a bunch of Super Battle Road stages. So unfortunately, yeah, this is a little bit of a fumble. I wouldn't say he's horrible, but compared to what they could have done, it's definitely a fumble. So moving on to the next EZA, we've got the Physical Champa. Now, Physical Champa, he could be pretty good. He has some pretty high like stat buffs in his kit, even before this EZA right here. So I'm expecting some good stuff here. Now, his super attack effect is that he gets 30% defense for one turn, causes supreme damage to enemy, and greatly lowers defense. Yeah, I mean, he gets 30% defense for one turn, so you know, I'm chilling. It's pretty much all I require from these super attack effects now. Just 30% defense. And then his passive is that he gets defense plus 160%. He gets an additional 120% defense when attacking. He gives Universe 6 category allies 2 key and then 40% attack and defense. Okay, that alone makes him very good. Him being a support, very, very useful. And then he gets another 20% attack and defense when HP is 60% or less. Okay, that's like such a small buff. I feel like that doesn't even really matter, but alright. And then he gets 400% attack, and then a medium chance of 600% attack, and then a rare chance of performing a crit. Okay. So they still kept like the medium chance of the additional attack buff at the end. I think before his EZA it was like a medium chance of 200% attack. But if you get this activated and you get a crit, his damage is going to be insane. Because in total, he's going to have like 1000% attack. I don't think we've ever had a unit that's had this much attack buffs before. Like 1000% in total is going to be pretty good. I can see why they didn't want to give him 30% attack and defense for one turn. But obviously, it's only a medium chance to get this, and then it's a rare chance to crit. So you're not really going to be seeing these two things that often. But still, the 400% attack is nice. The support is nice. And then the extra defense on a super attack effect and when attacking are nice. So he seems like a pretty good slot 3 option, which is about what I expected from his EZA. So overall, pretty good with the physical Champa. Now moving on to the Str Frost. I have pretty high hopes for this guy as well. We don't have that much Frost representation, so he definitely needs to be good. So a super attack effect is that he greatly raises attack and defense for one turn, causes supreme damage to enemy, and then lowers attack. Okay, pretty good super attack effect. The 50% attack and defense, like we talked about with the Jiren, is definitely very good. And then also lowering attack is nice. It's more useful than lowering defense, because in Super Battle Road, this is actually going to contribute to something, because then you're lowering their attack, and then the enemies are noticeably going to be hitting less hard, so definitely very good there. And then his passive is that he gets 3 ki, he launches an additional attack that has a high chance of becoming a super attack, he has a high chance of performing a critical hit for 6 turns from start of turn, he gets attack and defense plus 160%, and then another attack plus 180%, and then defense plus 120%, and then he's got a high chance of stunning the enemy when performing a super. Okay. Yeah, he kind of sucks. Damn. All right. Well, I mean, like I said, this guy needed to be good, and yeah, he's not good. I don't really know even where he's going to be useful in. I mean, they kind of went for like a Super Battle Road approach, which is weird. We definitely didn't need a good Frost Super Battle Road unit, so I am very disappointed with this. There's no defense, like defensive mechanics in his kit, I should say, because he is getting defense, but there's no guard, damage reduction, dodge, any of that, and his stats are going to be a little bit lower as well. Like I said, maybe in slot 3, if you get all the supers, he can be pretty good, but that's with like perfect RNG, and then of course you're not always going to get that. So Frost, pretty unimpressive, but next up we have the BOTA MAGETTA. So these guys could be pretty good. Again, they are another big buff to the Dokkan Fest Kale. Now their passive is that they get 3 ki and then 160% attack and defense, and then they get another 10% defense per Universe 6 category ally on the team up to 60%. They guard all attacks when another Universe 6 category ally is attacking in the same turn, or when HP is 80% or less. Okay, that's good. That's really good, actually. We're already cooking with that. See, this is the stuff we need right here, because then you throw them on Kale's team. Obviously, there's going to be another Universe 6 category ally attacking in the same turn because, well, you know, you're running a Universe 6 team. So this is good. You're going to have this full buff activated, so you're going to have the 60% defense and the guaranteed guard. Just that alone, already very good, especially because he's carrying defense for the next 6 turns. So yeah, very impressive with that. And then he gets another 60% attack and defense for 3 turns, and then a medium chance of performing an additional super attack within the same turn after receiving an attack. Wow. Dude, this guy's good. This guy's really good. He's a great slot 1 option for Universe 6, which is desperately what it needed, because right now, I mean, we've got like Kale that you can really throw in slot 1 with her damage reduction, and she gets damage reduction on super. So it was a little wonky with how that worked, but this is really good, actually, because you throw them in slot 1, they get the 60% defense there, and then they're carrying over 30% defense for 6 turns. They get 60% attack and defense after you receive an attack, and then also they're getting the medium chance of performing an additional super. And then with that, you get even more defense here, and then, because obviously you got another Universe 6 category ally on the team, at least most of the time you are, then you have that guard in slot 1, so they're going to be pushing some pretty high stats with the guard. Yeah, very good. They were cooking with this one. I don't know what they were doing with Str Frost, but this one, they were really cooking. So, between the BOTA MAGETTA and then the physical Champa, I think Kale's team is kind of revived. Like, kind of. There's still a couple slots where you're probably going to have to throw some wonky units on there, but the physical Champa, like I said, as a slot 3 unit will be very good because of his support, and then this guy's just going to be amazing, really, wherever on the team, because he's just got an amazing kit. So, that pretty much has been the video. Overall, STR Jiren, I mean, yeah, he is kind of mid, unfortunately. And then the physical Champa, he's pretty good. The BOTA MAGETTA, amazing, 10 out of 10. And then the Frost, 1 out of 10. He sucks. So let me know which EZA you guys like the most and which one you're going to get the most use out of. And I'll catch y'all in the next one.